Okay, full disclosure, we're recording this a few days before you're hearing it, and ironically, can I say, it's snowing?
I think it is irony this time.
Okay.
Yeah, at least it's close.
Okay, because we're going to talk about spring, even though it doesn't feel springy as we do this, but...
No, there's a blizzard. Of course.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.
Talking Scheetz. Here we go. I'm not sure. We've got along great during this whole process. We usually would pick on R, the producer, who's not here today.
Yeah.
So when you don't, it's typical of 3 children families. 2 usually gang up on one.
Yes.
When I was on the radio with Matt and Jack, we'd always gang up on Matt. But now that there's nobody to gang up on, we seem to be a little
Squabbling.
bit feisty. We're doing a test behind the scenes to make sure our levels are correct, because Lord knows I've got my problems with the levels for some reason.
No, so do I.
Worked 35 years with a microphone, but I can't figure out how to get the levels working.
It's a shared. We move around a lot. We're still dialing in the audio.
Between the two of us and our talking hands. This show should be called Talking Hands, not Talking Sheets.
There was a lot of hands going on, and we do our mic checks, and during our mic checks, you go into radio mode again.
Yeah, she's like, just talk normal. Let's have a conversation. I'm like, I'm having a conversation.
No, he's like, well, I'm having a conversation.
Oh, that's exactly what I sound like.
And so then the levels are, we have to talk exactly how we're going to talk so that I can get it all ready. Anyway,
Did you have to do that with your hands? Because it kind of bothered me.
Oh no. This is the fighting episode. We need Renato back.
The final edition of Talking Scheetz. Welcome.
Oh gosh.
Welcome. I'm trying to keep my hands down today because I noticed like mine are flopping around. But
I like hold mine.
You literally could take off the ground. You're flapping so much.
I know. I'm a hand talker. What am I supposed to do?
Okay.
It's natural.
That's fine. It's all good. All right. Lots of other great things to talk about. Where do we start? We start with the, if you're watching on YouTube, and we'd really love for you, I know some people don't have time to watch it on YouTube, but it is available on YouTube. And we're getting thousands of downloads on the different podcast streams, which is awesome. Yeah. But the downloads, the views on the YouTube are kind of going down. I don't know if it's because...
They're not going down. They're just consistently not amazing. And
right.
I've been thinking about it.
That's a good way of putting it.
I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, what can we do here? Because people are listening, but they're not watching, and we put a lot of work into the video.
When you say we, you mean?
I put a lot of work into the video.
Thank you.
I also put a lot of work into like putting makeup on for this. And
Right.
I'm like, is it worth it? Like, let us know. But I'm starting to wonder if we have a face for a podcast. We have faces for a podcast, and we don't have a face for YouTube.
That's what I'm starting to think of.
In the era of all of these like teen vloggers and stuff, maybe we're just.
Right.
We don't have the look.
I wonder if we could put a filter on it.
Yes, like a beauty filter.
Yeah. Take about 40 pounds off and tighten up the wrinkles. It looks like I gave up today in some respects. I'm wearing a Canada hat because I just got a Canada hat because we're going to be heading to Mexico, which we'll talk about. But I'm going to wear my Canada hat in Mexico because Lord knows you don't want to be mistaken for somebody else from another country right now.
We love Canada.
We love Canada.
Yes, for sure. And we want... I think that people know you're Canadian.
Yeah,
I think that there's like a
obvious.
vibe that you put out.
You think?
Like Canadians in general, I mean.
Yeah.
Like I think there's been a lot of there's been conversations about people traveling abroad and wearing pins, and then Americans wearing Canadian pins
That's
to try
always
to be
been
like...
a thing. They said that like 30 years ago that when Americans would go to Europe on their backpacks, if they were hiking, they'd put a Canadian flag. I don't know if that really ever happened, but it might happen now.
But
I don't know.
I think that it doesn't matter. I think that the Canadian vibe is something that you don't need to... I think that it's obvious when Canadians are in a room.
I'm going to say this. This might be a little controversial.
Oh, no. We're not going to be allowed to go to Disneyland again.
No, but I'm saying you can tell a Canadian at a Mexican resort because they're not the people butting in line at the bar.
Yes,
they're not the people butting in line. We don't butt.
No.
I got accused once of butting in Los Angeles at a rental car place, and we weren't. Like the rental car person dropped us off, and he said, okay, just go straight in. So we grabbed our suitcase and we were going straight in. And we didn't see there was a lineup to the side of all these people. And this guy started yelling at me, and he almost punched me. He says, you are butting in. What the hell are you doing? And I said, I'm Canadian. We don't butt in.
It is kind of true.
No.
I think that culturally many other countries are a little bit more
They need to be more aggressive.
Yeah,
because
you're right. It's busier.
if you live in a country where there's, like billions of, not billions, but millions and millions and millions of people, if you want to get anywhere, you've got to push and shove and get there.
That's so true. We have the privilege of space.
Right. So it teaches us not to be butters.
That's true.
Not that I'm saying it, other countries are butters, but we're not butters.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. So you don't need to wear a hat. You just need to go to the back of the line.
Always. You can tell a Canadian at a bar in Mexico, they're always second in line.
Right.
Because people just keep butting in, butting in, butting in.
What did you do this past weekend?
Can I talk about another butting in story?
Oh, yes. Why not? Why not butt in?
Exactly. Okay, this is a life lesson for me. This was a life lesson for me. I was going to visit a friend of mine, my dear friend Warren, at the University Hospital, and I didn't know. Like when you go to a hospital, you don't know where, where he is. What ward, what room, whatever. So I'm lined up at the University Hospital, and there's about 3 people ahead of me, and I'm waiting to get my turn to find out at admissions where he is. All of a sudden, this lady butts in front of me, and I thought, oh, that's kind of strange and kind of annoying. But I thought to myself, as a Canadian, I'll just let it be.
Mm-hmm.
She gets to the front of the line, and she says, hi, my son was in an accident. He was being delivered here by Stars. I just need to find him. And I thought, okay, Chris, can you imagine if you would have tapped her on the shoulder and said, wait your turn?
Oh.
I guess the life lesson there is you never know what somebody is doing and why they're doing it.
I think about that a lot on the road.
Yeah.
When somebody does something crazy or stupid or cuts you off, it's like, I'm always like, oh, they're having a baby. Someone's having a baby. That's
Right.
always what I tell myself. It's like, oh, someone's in labor in that car. And as someone who was driven to the hospital recently in labor, no rules apply.
Right.
So that's what I tell myself all the time. You never know what people are going through.
No, exactly. That was a life lesson for me. I mean, some people would just butt. But if I thought to myself, if I would have done what was the natural thing to do and say, excuse me, back of the line, that would have been just horrific. Like, that would have been horrific. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for me not doing that at that point. So just a life lesson.
Maybe the people from other countries at the buffet are also, you never know what they're going through. Maybe they're so hungry.
They're hungrier?
Yeah, they can't be hungrier than you.
Speaking of buffets in Mexico, and great line from my friend Les Hennig, who's just a funny guy. He says, I usually have to come home from Mexico once I've got the sunburn. I'm like, oh yeah. He says, yeah, it's a sunburn from going underneath the buffet like the heat lamps.
Where they keep the food. It's the knuckle burn.
Yeah, and he says, and I'm the same guy. Les says, I never get full. My arms just get tired. Doop, 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 doop.
Or your jaw gets tired from chewing.
So there you go. We were talking about something that wasn't even on your lovely schedule.
No.
And your mom was so worried. Chris, are you ready? Are you in the zone? Are you ready to talk today? I said, I am ready to talk Scheetz, and I've just proved it.
Here we are. Yeah.
You wonder why the YouTube subscriptions are down.
And we're doing all right.
We are. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Okay. I want to just say, if you're on YouTube right now, you can see this cool Alberta Soccer jacket that has been provided to me by Lisa Grant, who works for Alberta Soccer, the Alberta Soccer Association. They're a huge sponsor. We're Alberta Dreams, the charity that I work for, is their charity of choice. And I just want to do a shout out to Lisa Grant, who is a believer of Alberta Dreams and Alberta Soccer. You know, there's 120,000 kids that play soccer yearly in this country.
Yeah, it's the universal sport. It's the
Obviously.
top sport in the world.
Right.
It's the sport that almost every kid starts with playing because it's so accessible and it's just so much fun.
It's also the only sport that I have ever coached.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It is so crazy. When you were, how old were you? 6, 7?
I was in grade 1.
Grade 1,
yeah.
right. So we have this meeting because Bailey's going to play soccer, and we're big time pumped about it. And we go to the little Germinia Community Hall, which is the size of this room, and every parent is in there, and they go, okay, well, we're ready to play soccer, but we don't have a coach. And everybody looks at everybody, and I'm just like, seriously? I had a real bad feeling. I said, I'll assistant coach. Like, everybody wants to be an assistant.
Yeah, because it's easier.
Yeah, well, except for hockey. Every dad wants to be a hockey coach because, of course, then you can make sure your kid plays more and becomes Connor McDavid. Not
there's
everyone.
Only so many Connor McDavid.
I know, not everyone, but that the point is, not as many people dream of their son or daughter being Christine Sinclair or Alfonso Davies.
No,
but that's changing.
But in Canada, maybe we should start.
But I end up being the head coach. I said I know nothing about soccer, like offside. I don't even know if they called it when you were little.
It was just
So I'm coaching soccer, and I'm panicked because the last thing I want to do is let any parent think that I'm showing any preferential treatment to my daughter or anybody else on the team. And it's a mixed team. It's boys and girls. And by the time we started, I'm like, nobody cares how much their kid plays in this soccer league. In fact, you know what? The hard thing was to get the kids to actually go out and play. Like, it was, the thing about soccer is it's not like hockey.
They're
where
not contained.
There's a bench and you can hold them in, the wild animals in.
Yes.
You put them on a blanket and you say, okay, kids, sit here. And if you don't, you're not getting your orange slices at halftime, but it didn't matter.
No. As a soccer coach of 6-year-olds,
Yeah.
you're more of a zookeeper / babysitter. You're not, there's no strategy.
No.
Just trying to keep them all in one place, not running on the road.
And the great thing about soccer is, and it's starting shortly, the great thing about soccer is that it starts when it's still like freezing out.
Yes.
Like you were the first month of it, you're freezing. The parents are freezing. The kids are freezing. So all I literally did, and you were included in this group, I would try to keep these kids, they were wearing long sleeve shirts and they would run with, and again, if you're on YouTube, that's why you need to be on YouTube because you can see this right now. They put their arms inside their shirts and they would run and their arms would just be flapping and then they'd trip and they'd fall on their noses and then they'd cry.
Because we couldn't catch ourselves because
No.
our arms were wings.
You couldn't. Yeah, exactly. It was like running in a straitjacket. And so these kids would run, and I had so much fun with the kids, and it was a great experience. And I'm not exactly
Ted Lasso.
thank you
Mm-hmm.
or Wrexham.
Welcome to Rex.
Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience, and those kids were just fantastic. And I've seen some of them since. We went and watched your husband.
Yeah.
R, as we call him on this show,
Yeah.
playing indoor soccer, and he was playing against one of the kids that you used to play against or with.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same
Yeah,
time,
but
but-
they were both at the soccer center.
They
Yeah,
hooked
yeah.
up, yeah.
Yeah.
They hooked up.
Yeah.
Soccer. See? What a great timely thing to talk about. Again, another thing that wasn't on your list. I'm going to see
happens
if
in
we
the
can
spring.
talk about everything that's not on your list.
I don't care about. We're going to talk a little bit about type of personalities. Like I don't care if you touch my list. I just want us to have something to talk about.
And I think it's working so far. So
Yeah.
soccer, but you remember playing and you remember enjoying it? You guys just ran in a like literally
Yeah.
in a clump. And none of you wanted to be goalie. And if you had when you had a little person in the net, that they'd usually be hanging off the top of the net or they'd be looking the other way or whatever.
I loved soccer season. I liked the idea of soccer. I think at the time a lot more than playing. I wanted shin pads really bad. I wanted the
Right.
outfit.
Right.
I wasn't a great soccer player.
Right.
I didn't really realize. I think I could have been had I continued,
Yeah.
but I was the kind of kid that wanted to do everything. So I
Right.
played soccer for a while. I did gymnastics for a while. I danced for a while. I just did every sport for a little bit
Right.
because I just wanted to try everything. Soccer, I don't think was my strong suit. Producer Renato has had a lifelong career playing soccer. He
Yeah.
loves it.
Yeah.
So I've gotten a little bit more back into it, and I want to play. We were talking about playing like drop-in co-ed sometime because now
Okay.
I think I'm ready
Yeah.
to try again if you want to coach.
Yeah. Well, I would. I'd coach you kids. I'd be yelling at your husband. We've come and watched him a few times, and he thinks he's nailing it. And,
Yeah.
and he's so cute, and he is quite.
He's a good
he's
soccer
athletic.
player.
He's fast.
Yeah.
But he's got the shortest legs. Like he's got a long torso, and he's got these short little legs. So he just bombs around on that, and he kind of runs like duck feet. Again, sorry, Shirley, I don't mean to make fun of your son,
He's
but
not even here.
I know. But he when he's done, he's just like, how did
He's
I
so
do?
proud of
He's so proud, and he should
himself.
be.
Yeah.
And
He's a good soccer
it's a
player.
great sport. Indoor soccer looks like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like hockey. It
is.
is like I think it's a Canadian thing
Yeah.
because it is like based on they started playing it in like hockey rinks in the summer, and
Yeah.
it is like a bit like it can be kind of violent too.
Right.
Yeah, like they're pushing and shoving in there, but yeah, short legs is a soccer thing.
Okay.
But maybe he just tells me that. I actually don't know.
Soccer thing.
No, he's like soccer players are built. They have short legs because
Okay.
they have to be like fast.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
what's
know.
his name is really not very tall at all. The biggest, the Messi.
Oh yeah.
He's
He's
just-
small. He's
he's-
like a compact guy.
He's wee.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he stands in his lineup with the rest of his team, and it's like
Yeah, so
don't.
You don't need the height, but Renato's tall. He just has the legs of a short person.
Shout out to soccer. It's good.
We love
and
it.
again,
Alberta soccer.
Alberta soccer is fantastic. And yeah, halftime, the snacks, the watermelon,
that
or
was
whatever.
the best.
I mean, once it warmed, hot chocolate was the thing you needed for most of the season.
Yeah, I just remember being so cold. I don't like
No.
like a sport where you're cold the whole time.
I remember saying, "How can I coach from inside my vehicle?"
Yeah.
Like, and just kind of, it's quite the thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
soccer season's about to begin, and shout out to soccer. Alberta Dreams, I wanted to mention that. That's how I kind of tied this in. The charity that I'm working for, again, providing dreams for chronically and seriously ill children. And what a week I had this week. I went out to two locations for just the privacy of the families, but they were in the Calgary region. Okay, so I went up to the Calgary region and showed up at a house, and I knew that Azalea was going to be there. We were going to surprise her with a dream, which is what we do. And Azalea is 7. I know that. I know she's got cystic fibrosis. And I don't know a lot about cystic fibrosis, but I know it's not good. And I know that when I was a young boy, I remember having a girl in my class named Louise who had cystic fibrosis. And I just remember her coughing and coughing and coughing in class. And then she'd be away for a long period of time. And then she'd come back, and then she was away, and she'd be back and coughing. And then one day she never came back. And I remember that. And it was tough, right? So I'm going into this situation. That's my experience with cystic fibrosis. So Azalea, we're going to her house. And we've got a camera crew there. Our buddy Leading Edge, Grant Fedoric, provides Old Saw Production to come, and they're going to capture this for us. And we're outside getting prepared. And I'm going to go inside and meet my little Azalea, who's 7 years old. And I look in the window just before I go in the house, and I see these legs go flying over the top of the window. And I'm like, was that a cartwheel? I opened up the door, and it was a cartwheel. And Azalea, the biggest, most beautiful smile. And this girl is like cartwheeling around she's like,
Oh my gosh.
You're here for my dream. You're here for my dream. And you'd have never known.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is I'm assuming that research and things like that with cystic fibrosis have become much better. I know there's different cases for different people, but we went into her house, and she opened up the letter like we prepared. And you'll be able to see this on Instagram and on Alberta Dreams Instagram and mine. And she opened up the letter, and it was of the fact that she gets to go to Disney World with her family. And there's an organization called Give Kids the World that works out of Disney, and there's basically a resort for kids like Azalea, and they are going to give her VIP treatment in Disney.
Amazing.
And from what I understand, at this resort, they have like a Mickey Mouse is in a wheelchair, and they're just, but it's so accessible and it's so wonderful, and she gets to go.
That's really
and
cool.
her family and her mom and her dad, and it was so beautiful. And so we left, and she did a couple of cartwheels as we head out.
Do you think she'll be cartwheeling through Disney?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She will
Imagine how excited she's going to be. That's really, really great.
Crazy. So what an amazing thing, and what an amazing thing for me to be a part of.
Yeah.
Next day, we're going to another place near Calgary, and there's a young boy there named Owen, and he's 9 years old, and he has cerebral palsy. And I was told going into it that the Nintendo Switch, you know what those things are,
yeah.
those little, right? With his cerebral palsy, this Nintendo Switch is something that has helped him with his motor skills so much. Like,
really?
Yeah, and it's improved what he can do with his hands. He's a triplegic, which means that his 2 legs don't really work very well. He can kind of stand and kind of move, and one arm doesn't work that well. But this Nintendo Switch changed his life. So there is a purpose for video games. They can do good things.
Producer R tells us that all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
He does. Yeah.
Nice try, Producer R. No, I'm not buying it from you.
But that's cool.
So we go in, and his family, he's got 2 sisters and his mom and dad, and they got a brand new little baby pug that's beautiful. And he's going to Nintendo World in Florida.
Oh my gosh.
And Disney World in Florida with his whole family. And it's just like, I left there and I'm like, is this what I'm doing now? And I'm not going to go to all these reveals, but it was just a reminder of how amazing all charities are amazing. But my gosh, this thing, it's just, and they've been doing this quietly for almost 40 years. So Alberta Dreams, if you can help us out, we've got 2 golf tournaments coming in Edmonton and Calgary, and some other surprisingly big events that I'll be creating for this wonderful charity. And it's just a really cool thing. So shout out to Alberta Dreams.
That is a good week. It's a good week of work.
Yeah. Your week, not so much.
Not so good. No. We spoke about spring fever at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I had a true spring fever.
Yeah.
I got sick for the first time since having my baby Leona 7 months ago. So we've been very lucky. She's 7 months old. None of us have really been down and out. I know that kids get you sick, and postpartum, your immune system isn't great. So I was kind of expecting over Christmas, especially like, we're gonna get a bug of some kind. But no, we held out. And then this past weekend, just took a nosedive, and I have not had a sickness like that in my adult life. I don't think I have thrown up that much. I don't know. I got so sick so fast, and it is a different thing. I thought that I was kind of a tough person overall. I'm like, oh, when I get sick, I'm okay. I'm not super. I'm
Yeah,
not laying
you're
in bed.
tougher than most.
Yeah,
I would say you're tougher than
laying
you're
in
like your
bed
mom. You're like your mom that
being
way.
super sore, feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
It's a different story when you also have to keep a baby alive.
Right.
It is the
baby doesn't
else.
care.
No,
and the
doesn't
baby can't
know.
care.
No,
right?
No. And our lovely producer, my husband Renato, did an amazing job. I will say, stepping up and doing everything he could to watch her and make sure that I could rest as much as possible. But I'm still breastfeeding her, so every 3 hours, no matter what, middle of the night, I'm still up feeding this baby, wearing a mask, hoping that she doesn't get sick. And
they say that it's supposedly when you're sick and you're breastfeeding, there's a benefit there.
Yes, because of the antibodies. Because otherwise, I probably would have just slept and he could have given her a bottle and that would have been fine. But I'm like, no, I really, especially with our trip coming up, I really didn't want her to get sick. So I was diligent in maintaining to feed her. This might be TMI for the podcast, but there was one point where I was feeding her. I was like, uh-oh, this is not going to be good. I pass her off to Renato. I go throw up in the toilet, and then I'm done. I like rinse my mouth. I'm feeding her again, like mid-feed throw up. It was...
See, now I'm going to say this. I hope this isn't controversial for the 5 guys that listen to this, but we're not doing that, guys. There's no way.
Oh, the whole point of this story.
There's no way I'm throwing up and then going back and feeding my baby.
No.
I'm throwing up and something else is going to be figured out.
Yes.
And it's not going to involve me.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like, I think that this weekend gave me such an appreciation for mothers, because that is no joke.
Yeah.
And all of our moms have been through being sick and taking care of us. There's moms with 4 kids, 5 kids dealing with this kind of stuff. It is a different beast. And moms are amazing.
Yeah.
But we are now kind of a week out from the sickness.
We thought at one point it was mastitis.
Yeah, I went to the doctor. I got tested for all kinds of things. All came back negative.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I had. Not influenza A, not influenza B, not mastitis, not COVID. There was nothing that I got paneled for I had. So I don't know what kind of mysterious illness I had, but I feel so lucky that nobody else in the family got it.
Which is a miracle.
The baby.
Yeah. I was this year years old when I found out that mastitis wasn't something that just happened with dairy cattle.
No.
So
it happens with women, and it's terrible.
I guess it's extremely painful, which is why you figured you didn't have it.
Yes, but I wanted to make sure, there was all kinds of things going on, but we're feeling better. The baby was good, and moms are amazing. And truly, respectfully, there's no way that a man could have done that.
No, not most. There'd be some.
Some.
There'd be some.
There's.
But your husband, not me.
No.
I'm just thinking of the men I know. No. Yeah, I can't think of one of them that would have pulled that one off.
Well, there's something called a man cold, which is separate from a woman cold, where you get the sniffles and you can't do anything.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Okay. So you any more thoughts about that?
No, I was just gonna say that spring is coming and we're feeling good now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think we're going to talk about spring cleaning today. I think we're going to be holding that one off because spring cleaning can happen all of April, in my mind. And I think I've got some other things that we probably should talk about here.
Okay.
Before we get to that, well, April Fool's is coming.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, there is no joke when it comes to Londonderry Dodge.
Of course not.
There is no joke.
No. And we talked about the spring weather and the false spring and the fact that there's a blizzard outside.
Yeah.
I feel 100% confident driving on these roads in my 2025 Jeep Trailhawk.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and
it's perfect on the road.
It really is. I'm kind of jealous of it, but we went with the Alberta Dreams. We went out to Southern Alberta and went in the Dodge Ram Classic, and coming back the weather wasn't the best, and I feel so comfortable in that truck, and you ride in style, and it's fantastic. So shout out to Londonderry again for just being awesome, and no joke. They're the place to go.
Keeping us safe, no joke, and keeping us safe on these spring roads.
Yes. Mitch and Jamie and the staff there will help you out. Do us a favor. This helps us too. When you go in, just say, hey, Talking Scheetz sent me. And that's their key to even give you an even better deal than they were going to give you. Even better. Talking Scheetz sent me. Londonderry Dodge and Fort Road in Northeast Edmonton. Shout out to them. Okay, tomorrow, April Fool's.
If you're listening.
If you're listening on March 31st, the date of the yes. And that's the point. But anyway. And again, a couple of things. First of all, in radio, I lived for April Fool's Day, and I remember it growing up, like some of the great things that people would do, some of the bad things. There was a radio station once that faked like a hostage taking in their studio.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that happened. one of the classics. I'm trying to remember who it was, and it might have been Bruce Bowie, the legend, but it was somebody on Ched, and they did this whole thing where they were going to clean the phone lines out, they said. And so what would need to happen, because they're going to clean the phone lines out, they're going to put this air through your phone line. And so when they do this, you're going to have to put like a bread bag or some kind of plastic bag over your receiver of your phone. In the old days, the big phones, right? Because there's going to be a whole bunch of dust and stuff, and you got to collect that. So there were thousands of people in Edmonton. This was before people used to call it fake news, but that was fake news.
Oh, I mean, April Fool's was the original fake news.
It was. It was. So thousands of people in Edmonton put sandwich bags or bread bags on the end of their phones to try to collect this dust because they were going to blow out the line at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So everybody was ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah, and they fell for it. And there was so many. And over the years, we played some real good ones. I with Jack and Matt, we came up with an idea of saying that Yellowstone was going to start shooting in Camrose. They were going to move because of Kevin Costner's love for Camrose after coming to the Big Valley Jamboree. And we talked to a real live rancher that had a ranch there that they were going to be shooting at. And it had got a lot of people going. A lot of people going that Yellowstone was moving to Camrose. That was probably my second most proud one. Certainly my first was the time, and I don't even know where it came from, but I think it came to me at my sleep, and I decided
as most good jokes do.
As most ideas do. I decided that we would put a sound effect of a cat meow on the radio, and we would do this throughout the morning, and we wouldn't acknowledge it. In fact, we had our engineers at the time, Tom Davies and Grant, and they figured out a way to make this cat noise go on the air, and we couldn't even hear it. So it wouldn't even throw us off. It would just be like we'd be talking and meow, meow. And thousands of people fell for that one. And I heard so many stories. My sister-in-law, Danita, she was late for work because, they thought there was a cat in their vehicle.
Or in their home or wherever, their office.
There was home ones. Yeah, there was people that were like, we don't even have a cat. What the hell's going on, right? And then there was one person in particular who wasn't very happy, who actually took their vehicle to Fountain Tire and made them take it apart to look for the cat.
There's always a risk with a great joke.
There's always somebody's gonna.
You're gonna make somebody mad.
You're always gonna make somebody mad. But it was
it's a good joke.
Totally worth it.
Yes.
So then a few years later, I think we tried to double down and we played a bird, and it was okay, but nothing was like the OG, the cat. The cat was the best, and it literally is one of my proudest moments on the radio, which is sad to say, but it really it really is. And then from a personal perspective, when your mom, she always says, "Did you talk to me about me on the podcast?" Okay.
She always wants to know. Well, I mean, there's always got to be a care mention.
She doesn't need to be talked about, but she's like, "What did you say about me?" I said, "Oh, you'll find out." When she was pregnant with your brother, and he was due in May.
The end of May.
The end of May. And just for fun, it was April Fool's Day that year. And she says, I should phone my family and tell them my water broke. And I said, probably not. And she said that, and without a word of a lie, in like a half an hour. And our oldest nephew, Corey, who's like now 40, was over with, and he was just however old he was. I mean, that would have been 28 years ago. And she's in the bathroom, and her water broke, literally.
On April Fool's Day.
On April Fool's Day, after she joked about telling her family that her water was going to break.
So imagine then trying to convince people that you're telling the truth. When you are like, hey, I'm going to the hospital. My water
on
broke.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, nobody
And when she was already going to play this, nobody believed her.
Of course not.
Corey did, because he saw it. And
which is not something that like a 12-year-old should ever see.
He needed therapy after that. We all did. So we rush her into the hospital, and she spends a week on bed rest in the hospital, and then, almost a week, and then on April 7th, your brother is born.
Mm-hmm.
And
very early.
Very early, 6 weeks early. And he was 6'2", 6 pounds, 2 ounces. So I remember when he was born, premature, 6 weeks premature, they rushed him to the prenatal area, and he goes into his little hot box there, his little Dutch oven. And then I look around, and the other little babies are little.
Oh, yeah.
He looked literally. He looked like he was.
I thought he was 6'7".
6'2".
Okay.
It looked like he was. It looked like he was literally 70 pounds in that room.
Yeah. Well, that's an average size baby.
Right.
Like an average full term size baby.
Yeah. If he had gone 6 more weeks, he would have been like, you or your daughter Leona, right? You've been in the 9
probably
pound
bigger
area.
than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky to have such a premature baby that was so large and so healthy.
Yeah. Looking back, it might have been the best thing for your mother.
Oh yeah,
because
but not that's a big scare on April Fool's Day.
It was, and it was a big scare, when he was born and all those things.
Yeah.
But that's my April Fool's stuff. You don't really have any fond memories of April Fool's Day.
We've given a shout out to Care, but I'd like to give it a shout out to my Auntie Sharon as well.
Oh,
my mom's sister.
Oh,
she is the queen of April Fools.
Oh, she loves it. She lives for it.
And she's pranking all year. To be fair,
yeah, no, every day's April Fool's Day for her.
But she is like the queen of the classic comedic pranks. She's got the Saran wrap on the doorway, Saran wrap on the toilet.
Yeah,
she's got things popping out of everywhere. she is a prankster. Yeah. And I think that this is her Met Gala.
She is a 60-year-old, 8-year-old.
Oh, but in the best way.
In the best way.
Yes. Yeah. Unless you're her husband, who has to be the the brunt of all the pranks.
I like to see him get it, but you know what? To be dead honest, I think that she's too hard on him, and that's quite a statement because he deserves it. But just this past week, and she always does these things on Snapchat. So this is my brother-in-law, Darcy Pollock. Shout out Darcy Pollock, Realtor to the Stars. Hey, sponsor the podcast, you cheap guy.
We got to talk to Brandon about that.
Oh yeah, and Brandon,
his son, Brandon Pollock.
And Brandon definitely listens because he's one of the 5 guys that does.
Yep. I hope he enjoyed the mastitis lesson.
I'm sure he did. Didn't his wife have mastitis? Oh, is that too much information? I don't know. I don't know. She's a nurse, so she would have known about mastitis.
I was like, his wife, Sarah, now we're just shouting out the whole family. She's a nurse, and I ask her, you hate to be the friend that's a nurse. Yeah. Because you get all the questions. So I had this mystery illness, and I'm like, Nurse Sarah, what's going on?
Yeah. Can you imagine being a gynecologist?
Oh, or something specific.
That'd be a tough job.
She does a good job of answering my questions, to be fair.
Okay. Anyway, where was I going with that? Darcy. Okay. So she gets him all the time. He'll be sleeping at night. And like it'll be 3 a.m. and she'll poke him with a pin, like in the, in the butt or whatever, or do all these things. And then she Snapchats it and sends it to us.
It's good content.
But oh my gosh, I have never seen anything funnier than what she did this week. So this would have been warming up for April Fools. So they're going through a car wash. She's driving. I don't know why, but she's driving, whatever. And they're going through an automatic car wash. And she's videoing, and she goes, "Hey, Darcy," and he looks at her, and just then, as the spinny wandy things are going by, she opens up his window, and he just gets blasted.
It's so
almost
funny.
Blows his glasses off, rips his phone out of his hand. And he's like, "Great, now my phone is wet." Well, yeah, no kidding.
I don't know where she thinks of these things.
I don't know either.
It is.
She probably saw it on TikTok.
That is not.
I'm sure she did, but I'm not. Maybe not. Like, she literally is the Connor McDavid of pranks.
Yes.
She might have come up with it.
She might have
come up with it. It was just the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That is not something you should try in a Londonderry Dodge.
No, we don't do that in Londonderry Dodges.
No, we keep them clean.
No, this was in the Tremor, which is another great story. You know what? We're going to talk about spring cleaning down the road. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of questions and a lot of great recommendations, and we're going to hang to those. So if you need an excuse to not clean your house for a few weeks,
which we knew,
we're going to get the irony of it is us telling you about cleaning, the two of us. That's a joke.
That's an April Fool's joke.
That's like me being your personal trainer. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
But that's why I thought it would be helpful.
Sure, and it will be. But you got on so many other tangents.
Me. I did want to say, because you were doing your fit check where you're like, this is what I'm wearing today.
Yeah.
I did want to talk a little bit about my outfit to talk about on YouTube, so the people, if you're watching on YouTube,
the hundreds that are watching on YouTube, yes,
our big fan base,
yes, hundreds,
small but mighty.
Yeah.
I did want to say that I was wanting to feel cozy because it was blizzarding outside, so I have this little sweatsuit on. I pull it out of the dryer, I put it on, and I'm like, okay, this will be good. Like, it's casual, but it's nice for the podcast. I pick up Leona, all over the front of it. So if you are watching on YouTube and you see that I've got splatters all over me, it's just baby puke.
Okay.
I just wanted to give a disclaimer that people, in honor of the future spring cleaning episode, I do wash my clothes.
And again, this kid is so funny because she just literally, she doesn't really throw up. It just comes up like it
does. It doesn't phase her.
And then she's like, and you just try to make sure the dogs she doesn't eat it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it goes.
When you're a young person at a party, they talk about puking and rallying.
Right.
You know, you drink too much, you throw up, you come out of the bathroom, yay! Babies are the ultimate puke and ralliers.
Puke and ralliers.
Yeah, she's always rallying.
It never phases her.
No.
Never phases her. Okay, well, we're hoping the next episode, if it all works out technically, will be in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta, where we will be going on a week vacation as a family, all 7 of us, and we'll be traveling with Leona, so there'll be probably some stories about the flight. She's starting to get quite active.
Yeah.
Like, that's a mild understatement. She's really active.
We booked this trip
Yeah.
prior to like knowing her full personality.
Right.
And
We knew she'd probably okay with it, but we
Yeah.
didn't really know what we were getting.
I didn't expect her to be crawling,
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
doing all the things that she's very she's a very active baby.
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried about containing her for 5 hours.
Yeah.
But the good news is there's 6 of us, 7 of us, but 6 of us in seats.
Yeah.
So we can just pass her back. Everybody takes a shift.
Yeah.
Except for her father, who can't fly
And
without Ativan.
and of course, that is another story.
Maybe we'll talk about that in Mexico.
The only thing higher than the plane is my son-in-law when he flies. So
Yes.
how is this going to all work? Yeah, he's going to have to miss his part of this, but I'll hold her. I don't care. And you know what? I guarantee you, but everybody else will hold her too. We'll just pass her around.
Pass her down the plane. Give her
Pass
to
her.
a flight attendant.
Oh.
She's the opposite of scared of strangers. She
Yeah,
loves strangers.
Yeah, you've heard that playing
strange.
Playing strange. Yeah, no, that's not her.
No.
That ain't her. That
Which
ain't
is
her.
which is good and bad.
Yeah.
Because she thinks that anyone's her mom.
Yeah.
Which is tough when I'm the lady that was puking and feeding her at the same time. I get no credit for that. No credit.
Okay. Well, yeah. So hopefully we're gonna have a very
Yeah.
exciting show.
Don't-
Fingers crossed. Don't count on it.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Technically, we don't know the logistics yet, but we're
Yeah.
gonna try our best to do a remote show.
Yeah. And I started the show by almost making sadness about the YouTube views and things like that. But we do have like well over 10,000 downloads and listens. People seem to be gravitating to that direction, and that's cool. So anyway,
We shouldn't be bullying people into how to listen to the show.
No.
We should be celebrating the fact that people are listening.
However you listen, And
You matter.
right.
Yeah.
And but you're right. We might have perfect faces for podcasts.
I think we have faces for a podcast. Yeah. Which is tough. And hey, we're getting along better than we were at the beginning.
Yeah, it took 40 minutes, and we got it figured out, right?
We worked it out on the podcast.
Yeah. All right. We'll have all sorts of special guests next week if it works out.
Hopefully.
If it works out. Have a great week. And April Fools.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.